let's recap the Marine Corps Marathon. So I ran the Marine Corps Marathon on October 26th and freaking crushed it. Honestly, I did so much better than I did last year. Last year I ran a 3:31 official time, 3:30 unofficial, 3:29 unofficial, and then this year I ran a 3:15 official and a 3:13 unofficial, so 26.2, 3:13. Absolutely murdered it, and I'm okay with it. I'm happy. I mean, I went into this race thinking that like I can hit a 3:12. All of prep, we set the goal for a 3:15 back in January. Back in January, I said I'm gonna run a 3:15 marathon, and of course, I was so burnt out from the marathon last year. I ended up taking basically 3 months off from running altogether, from November 26th, I think it was last year, 2024 with the Philly Marathon, to literally in March. Really, I didn't get started again running, but we dedicated March, April, May, and June to building myself back up, and we did it slowly, and we were smart. Had a little bit of an Achilles injury that was kind of stressful, but we battled through it. I stuck my head down and I was like, this marathon means a lot to me, and I'm gonna call on the Lord every time I'm down, and hopefully he comes and helps me out here and gets me to that finish line. And yes, he did. So we started in March, and we ran until June, built up to a base around 40 miles a week, and I held that for, I want to say, like 6 weeks before. And before that, I was doing like 35 miles a week, 30 miles a week, and that was that. And added some hills in there. Like, we have this bridge here that's called the Benny Bridge, so I was doing that a bunch, once a week. Not too much elevation, which I was actually concerned about going into this marathon, but it wasn't a massive deal. But anyway, that was the off season. We got really strong, really big. I'll insert some pics. I was pretty big. I got up to my old football weight of like 205, 204, and I was strong. Like, I had benched 335, hit that goal, and I was rowing 315 for sets of 6. I was doing a lot of weight, and in this time I figured out how to do a muscle up, which is really freaking cool. So I learned how to do that in July, actually. That was like the very beginning of marathon prep. But anyway, we start July marathon prep. I had this amazing coach. He's a friend too, which is the best part about it. And he programmed every 4 weeks for me. And what I started off as thinking was going to be an insanely hard goal to hold 720 paces, technically 726, but 720 paces from the rip, ended up being something I was very comfortable with at the end. And one thing I'm really proud about this marathon is that I no longer have, I'm just doing this to show up, and I hate my guts. Like, I literally hate running, right? I'm showing up and I'm like, this is good for the soul. Like, I'm out there on a run and I'm like, this feels good. And like, my mission, my goals, they now, like, it just feels right to be doing this. And not saying didn't feel right before, but what it was growing up, like in college, like when we go back to when I was in grad school, when I started running in 2022, I was saying to myself, this sucks, and I'm probably never gonna run again in my life. And then I ended up being like, let's run 6 days a week, because I want to do something that I clearly suck at. And what we took from going 6 days a week, doing not really good, but being intentional, math training below my heart rate of 150, and making sure all my runs are in that zone 2, that area. And the next year came around, and I was training in 2023 all by myself, graduated college, and I'm running in the winter, and still had that mentality of like, I mean, this is okay. I don't love it. You can't call me a runner. Please don't call me a runner. And fast forward to now, even in the marathon prep last year, like, I still did not love this at all. Like, I was doing it because I set a goal and I'm going to pursue this goal. But this year, this marathon prep has truly made me I don't want to say fall in love, but like it has made me have this like fearlessness about it, where it's like it's a part of me, and I believe that I can conquer anything going forward, and it's enjoyable to take this process now. Whereas like before, I was like, I hate this. I'm doing this because I said I was gonna do it. Now I'm doing it like, and I enjoy it. So this is amazing. Anyway, back to the race. First 4 miles. Holy crap. I talked about this on my TikTok a little bit already, but when you first start on the Marine Corps Marathon, there's two places that you can start on the highway. There's separated by a median, and most people are on the right side, and that's what we just assume. Like you walk in and you go straight to the right side, and it's kind of hard to get to the left side, so you just park yourself there. That's where the majority of people are, so it just seems right. But when you go like not even 300 feet out, once they blow that cannon when you're running, you have to diverge onto the one side, and you think that's normal, right? That's like what a normal marathon's like, but it's not, because it's separated by a grass median on the highway. So it's like this divot, and there's a curb, which is weird. So it's like you have to kind of like hop over this, and you have to risk stepping in like a hole that you can't see in the grass, which is the scariest thing to me that I was worried about. I was like, my race might end 300 feet into this, but end up getting past that and you're fine. But the reason why it has to do that is because there's a whole set of people who are in these wheelchairs and scooters that are also starting at the exact time that everyone else is. So they're in front, but they're not obviously going up that hill as fast as we are running, so you have to diverge over. And that's the stressful part about the beginning. Hills, we all know Marine Corps Marathon is going to be hilly in the beginning, but you can get through that. It's one of those things where you just dial back the pace a tiny bit, you go up those hills, and then you're through it. But I will say, there are absolutely no hills that prepared me for those hills. It is very, like, they don't hurt, but you're like, wow, this is a steep hill. And you have to prepare your mind for that. But once you're past those, it's like, yeah, the course is a little bit hilly here and there, but it's not that bad. And then once you get to like, I want to say mile 18, 19, 20 through the end, this race is hell in terms of the hills. It's not great. It's not easy. There's a bridge with some terrible hills. There's a random parking lot you gotta do a circle in that's just boring and weird. And then you've got some just like elevation towards the end, and then the final hill is just like outrageous for the end of a marathon. But, you know, it's what it is. You stick your head down and work. But miles 1 and 2, I was at a 7:31 pace, cruising up these hills. These hills were tough in the beginning, so I was just like, let me dial it back 10 seconds slower than what I want to race at. So I was chilling at that. Got to mile 3, starts getting a little more downhill, but don't let the elevation fool you too much. It is a little bit like this, you know. But then once you get to mile 4, it's just straight downhill the whole time, and you are just cooking. So I ran a 7:09. The pacer that came up behind me, like the 3:15 pacer, and I was just like, how is the 3:15 pacer catching up to me right here? So that makes sense. But I was at mile 4 cooking, and I was like, there's no way a pacer's gonna catch up to me. But then, of course, catches up to me at mile 5, and I ended up riding with / a little bit behind the 3:15 pacer from mile 5 up until I want to say like mile 16, and that's what my strategy was. It was like just get a rhythm and just flow. I was just cruising mile 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Just cruising autopilot, and it just honestly felt good. I was like all my training, and I'm just stacking miles. And the cool thing is, I was talking to my coach beforehand, and we had these like like noted times that I crossed the, you know, like the 10K, the hour, and the 20-mile mark or whatever. And so when I hit mile 13, like I knew, or mile 10, I knew what I should have been at, you know. And the half mile or the 13-mile mark, I knew what I should be at. And then the mile 20 mark, I knew I should be at. And my watch, which is actually crazy, was saying I was well ahead of what that time on the clock said it was. Like I was like 2 or 3 minutes ahead of what that was, which is so mentally messing me up, but it was what it was. Every mile marker, my watch was like a half mile earlier for it, which was a little stressful, but it is what it is. I just was just like, trust my training, feel good, rip. And so I ended up getting to mile 17, and this is where I was like, I'm gonna rip this. Like, I felt so good at this point. Ended up leaving the 315 pacer in the dust. The 315 pacer didn't catch up to me again until mile 21, which frustrated me so much because I was like, I'm feeling great. Like, I hate that it cut up, but at 21, I hit like a wall. So at 7:30, I was running 7:33 and 7:32 for mile 21 and 22. Those miles right there, I was like, why am I running a marathon? I was like, running a marathon sucks. Again, I'm never gonna do this in my life. Like, and by the grace of God, at mile 23, I caught a second win. Lord God came to me and was like, you got this, and ended up getting back on pace. Say at mile 23, I was having some real self-talk. Like, I was like, lock in. Like, I was telling myself to lock in. You're doing this for a greater purpose, so you show up and work. I was trying to like put on my favorite worship music. I put on Send Me by Bethel Music, Too Good to Not Be True, or Too Good to Not Believe by Bethel Music, and I was just locked in. Ended up running my mile 24 at a 7:08 and mile 25 at a 7:11, and I was flying. I was like, I got this, 3:12 in the bag, and then hit mile 26. Mile 26 killed me. I had a cramp, like right here in the ribs, which I haven't had a cramp once in training ever, and so this was out of nowhere. I'll talk about the hydration in a minute, and my fueling strategy. Straight uphill, run to the finish line, and it was rough, but we got through it. And I was like, I looked down at my watch. I was like, 3:15. I had a moment of sadness, but then I looked up, picked up my head, and I saw them putting medals on me, and I was like, putting a medal on me, and I was like, dude, you just gave it everything you had. You finished a race, and you didn't just finish it. You got to the finish line after running 26.2 miles consistently. And yeah, you hit a couple walls, but that's the whole point of it, right? Like, you're not doing this for comfort. After they put the medal over me, and I was like, dude, you just ran 26.2 miles consistently, hard, and all out. And you did not quit when you hit those walls. When so many people were stopping in front of you, you said, nah, this ain't me. And you worked your butt off to get to the finish line. I'm so proud of that. Mile 26 with a stitch right here, and having had all those 25 miles before me, I gutted it out, and I worked so hard, and I'm so proud of that. So proud of that. So what initially made me sad, not seeing 3:12 to 3:13 on my watch, I was happy after because I realized I gave it everything I had. All right, so let's talk about fuel strategy. So I had the strategy of take a gel every 25 minutes. So I originally was going to go with 30 because that's what I trained to do. Talked to my coach. I'm going to go with 30. And he was like, don't do 25 because you hadn't trained that way. And I realized really quickly I want to do 25. And it was just like a game time decision. I had gone into it like, I'm going to focus on 30 minutes. But the way I felt in that race after those first like 3.5 miles, I was like, I need something. But this was like, I don't know, it was game time. And I had used the bathroom like 4 times that morning. So I was like, I feel like I can do this. So I went every 25 minutes with the elapsed time on my watch. I checked, and I took a gel. And every single aid station, I made this a point. Take a sip of the Gatorade at least. The noon hydration, take a sip of it at least. Just to have like some extra carbohydrates. I didn't need the electrolytes because I was taking double electrolyte Humagels, and I'd already taken 1,000 milligrams of sodium that morning, 1,000 milligrams the day before, and 1,000 milligrams the day before that. So I was already primed up with my sodium intake. And so I knew I was going to be fine with that, but I needed to make sure that the gels were absorbing properly too, so I made it a point to take water also in every single station, whether I wanted to or not. And I guarantee you, if I didn't go to every single aid station, I would have gone sub 3:15 the official time, because there were so many times where I had to stop, like literally, like not like physically stop, but like dang near stop. And the course gets narrow at certain points, so it's like people are always like, on your right, on your left, and then everyone's coming together and everyone's tripping. The amount of times I tripped in a pack, it was like three different times, and I saw people trip, fall over. It was just not good, because of that traffic. So that's something to keep in mind. But that was my fueling strategy. I took gels every 25 minutes, and I had electrolytes and water at every station that I went to, and we just rocked on. The motto was lock in, and then Micah 7:8. Do not rejoice over me, my enemy. Though I fall, I will rise. Though I dwell in darkness, I will use the Lord as a light for me. And that was my motto. I was locked into that verse, Acts 20:24. I don't care about my own life. My only aim is to finish the work the good Lord has given me to do, and that is to spread the news of the gospel. And those two verses, and lock in, was everything to me in that race. And then my coach texted me at mile 20 also, and he was like, embrace this suck. And he was looking at my splits. He was telling me he could see that I was getting a little slow there, and he was like, embrace the suck. And I heard that in my ear, and I just hightailed it. Like it helps so much, especially because there's a bridge in that Marine Corps marathon. I can't remember what mile it was, and it's not one of those, like when they say hilly, it's not like this, and it's not like up, you're good. It's like up. Like it's like it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and then it goes down really slowly and then back up really slowly, and it's like one of those things where it's just gradual and long. Not gradual and like not steep, and not really steep and then it's there. It's gradual and long and steep. So those hills and that bridge sucked, and then it was just let it rip from there. But we did it though. This year's marathon, 3:15:09 official, 3:13:03 unofficial. Got it done. Now next year, biggest goal yet. I'm so scared to even say this out loud. Sub 3. And it's crazy. I've been plastering it everywhere. I've posted probably 2 to 3 times about this on my socials, that I'm going to go sub 3 next year. In my recap post of the marathon, I said in 2022, I was like, I'm probably never going to run a mile in my life. There's no way. And then fast forward to 2025, screw it. Sub 3 next, baby. And that's the motto. We're going to do it. And hopefully we get into the Chicago Marathon where it's a flatter course and we can just let her rip. And that's the goal. Let her rip. And it's crazy when you think about the journey we've been on. If you go look at my old videos, thinking about just like how I started running 6 days a week, and it's like my first 8-mile run like is documented on this YouTube channel. And it's crazy to go from like 8:30 paces in that and being tired and thinking that was a huge win and accomplishment, to now running 7:20 paces in a full marathon, something that I didn't even think I would ever do in my life, let alone 20 miles. So it's crazy.